Rules for the use of the facility. Restrooms that way. I'm sure other people know, but some people might need directions. So it's that way. And help yourself to some refreshments that we have provided for you. We'd like to thank all of you for being here. And we are going to begin first with a Pele, and we've asked someone from your district to do that for us tonight. And we have Pele doing that. So if you don't mind, we're going to start with that.
Hello everybody.
Hello.
So we'll Pele. We'll talk to Tekumu, Source Energy. In honor of all you folks have different religious beliefs maybe, and you have different ones you pray to. But Tekumu is the source. All things come through Tekumu, so we will do it in that style. You may raise your eyes if you like. You may bow your head if you like. But may we be in agreement. E aloha ke kumu. Mahalo plenty. We are here this evening as a community, and friends in the community. We are here to discuss important matters in the way of law, in the way of Hawaiian culture, and our environment. We are here in physical. We also belong to non-physical, and in non-physical, our ancestors are there. We call upon our ancestors. Mai, kukun kahito. Come be with us to find solution. Not make trouble, but only solution. This is what we call for, and we call from everyone. We will bring forth our solution. This is our wish tonight. We are grateful for the day. We are grateful to be here. We aloha everybody. You agree? Say amen.
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 So be it.
My name is Terry Napiaki. I am the Vice President of Pele Defense Fund. Most of you are familiar with the organization. It's a very long time old organization of warriors that have begun in your district. And before I start, I wanted to honor those that have been before us, our Renaissance leaders that have taken the opportunity to stand up for issues that were plagued to our Native Hawaiian people. And I would honor our president, Kalikapu Dene, is still the president. He is also the founder of Pele Defense Fund. And I am mentoring under Kalikapu Dene, and I'm in honor for what he's taught me. And that's why I'm here today. We are going to be sharing with you some important information that we would like to give to you as information. And that's how I wanted to start. You know, I'm grateful for Auntie Jessie for allowing people, those that live here in this district, who is part of Nakupuna o Moko Kiawe, another organization of elders and kupuna from different districts on this island. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but I am, because my grandmother, Abby Napiaki, was a part of that. And this is something that she wanted me to always remember as a Hawaiian in traditions. You always ask permission to be where you're at if you're not from that village or that area. And you also identify who you are and your purpose. And so I'm going to do just that, because she said that I should do that. And so my tutus are the Hiva Kikaula family that was originally born in Kohakuloa Ka'u, which is between Green Sand Beach and Kalai. And they migrated to Kapa'ahu in Kalapana, and married into my Napiaki family in Hilo, and so my ancestors walked the land that we walk. And so I'm grateful for Auntie Jessie giving me this opportunity to share what I think is important. And I'm going to start with a real quick story in that light. About 13 years ago, I worked for a clinic, and they were assigned to your district to do medical services for those that didn't have any medical practitioners. So my job was to sit in the front, greeting families as they came to participate in our clinic. And I was at the front table, and I greeted people. And along came this group of Hawaiians that came to the table that needed some help. And so I greeted them, and then I asked them, do you have health insurance? Because that was my job. If you didn't have health insurance, that was what I needed to do, was to hook you up with an application, put up your social security number, and go from there. So the first thing that happened to me was, no, I don't like it. And so I thought, well, in order to participate, if you need further medical assistance, you might need to pay for more, pharmaceutical needs. And they said, no. And so I thought, okay, I'm missing something. And then they said, you Hawaiian? And I said, yes, I am. They said, sister, do your homework. You're on the wrong side of the line. And I said, okay. Now that experience hit me because at the time I wasn't open to listening to issues about the disparities of our people. And it bothered me. So I went to my grandmother and said, Grandma, this is what happened to me in college. She looked at me and she smiled and she said, oh yeah? And I said, that's it, Grandma, you smiling at me, what? And that bothers me. And she said, well, I said, so what? Was I supposed to do protocol? Was I supposed to chant or something? I don't know how. She says, well, yes, there is protocol. And then she said this, learn from everyone. Learn from every group that asks you to attend their meetings so that you can understand their plight and you can understand and be empathetic to the kind of feelings that you're going to receive, like I did that day. And so, from that day on, I made it my responsibility in Kuleana to know what's going on around me. I was young, and I was busy with my family, with my job, and I didn't take the time to pay attention to what was happening. And so, when my grandmother told me that, I started to pay attention and made it my life to help people. So tonight, that is what I want you to do, is to give me that opportunity to share with you information about the disparities of our people. And Him coming to you with a solution. And hopefully that solution you'll be thinking about the whole week. And so, I thank you for giving me this opportunity. On the table, I have what we're going to be talking about tonight. We have the environmental assessment. Months ago, I think last year, we were all here testifying in regards to how it might be affecting your lives here in Kokomo, as well as our lives elsewhere. The process is what, no offense, for those of you who might be working, on that side with all full heart that you're being passionate to do something good. And we understand that. But there's a side that we'd like you to listen to, and that side is important to us that you listen to. So on the table we have a portion of a proposal or a summary of what the Department of Natural Resources is going to be doing in your forest of fencing with 12,000 acres. So it would be important that you take that portion for you tonight, read it, because it's going to give you an initiative, a goal of the Department of Land and Natural Resources, and all the players that are involved with the process. Now, we asked them not to do this, and they had passed it and approved it with a FONSI. Now, some of you might not understand what a FONSI means, and I'm going to tell you what it is. It's the findings of no significant impact. So, what that means is that everything that they had done, they're required to do and mandated to do when they're doing a proposal for any kind of development, they need to do all of these things first. That is the process and the system that we live in. So what they've done is their due diligence to have a cultural assessment attached as well. And you can read that. This blue book right here is a complete final assessment of what they found, no significant impact. So what we're doing, and there's another document next to that, is our litigation suit. Pele Defense Fund, Terry Napiahi and Joseph Griffiths are litigating. We submitted it in November, our litigation suit, to disapprove their EA, their environmental assessment. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the difference. An environmental assessment is not as thorough as an environmental impact statement. And it's a lot more costly than an EA. But we're asking them, we're challenging them in court to come up with an EA, an environmental impact statement, which will cost them much more, and they would have to do more thorough studies. And what we're challenging is the impact that it's having. And so tonight, we're actually bringing some people, some friends of ours that have been with us for the last 2 years, some doing it since 1979, gathering documents of the infractions of conservationists over a cumulative time of years. And so you'll be getting to hear his testimony as well. And I think you'll find this enlightening because of the infractions that he's managed to collect since 1979. And we have Tony Sylvester, who's also currently, as we currently now, dealing with other infractions that he believes on Montana and the eradication of our omelets. They call omelets, we call our food. So Pele Defense's stance is that we're challenging the cultural aspect of this because they find that there's no impact on our culture. If they really understood in the process, those that are on the decision-making table knew about our culture, knew about our religion, they would not allow the eradication of our kua'a because it is part of our food source, it is who we are, it is what we brought with us to sustain our lives for hundreds of years. It is our food and ceremony. So when you talk about religion, you're talking about indulging in a very respectful process of our food source. Everything that goes in a cycle, we are an environment. When we say we are our environment, we are. When our kupuna die, the iwi and mana goes into the ground, that is what makes our life grow. Our trees, our food source, they participate in that same ceremony. Now, if they made the right decisions as traditional customary practitioners, they would not allow them. And they have. And this is what we are challenged. So tonight, after we have all of our speakers speak tonight, I'm going to ask you to indulge by giving us some of your flag in your area. But know that that's what we're doing. And so you also need to know that in 1990, Uncle Everett shared with me, 1990, their strategy for eradication. Now they're telling us they don't use these tactics. In 1990, they told you how they were going to eliminate our food source. And from that time, no one has listened to us. So, you pick that up, and you're right. I gave you a copy of all the rights that you Hawaiians had. NAGPRA, ARPA, State Constitution, Article 12, Section 7, that states our traditional customary practices and the rights you have as Native Hawaiians to continue your traditions as subsistence gatherers. Why are we allowing them to take away the food? Why? Because that is power. You take away our food, you take out our water source, you take away the cost. And that's why I'm here tonight. So we're going to start with Tony Sylvester. Okay.
Tony Sylvester, and I'm just here to help the hunters, fishermen, and the gatherers. I've been a lifelong myself, third generation in Hawaii. And I work in science, so I want people to know that I fully understand science and I live by science. What you're going to see is what I present here, what the clash is, that there is a big clash between science and culture, and that is the root of the problem, and that's the solution that we have to find out.
Okay, and then after Tony, we have Uncle Everett Frankel from Hamakua. He's the Hamakua Hiking Association president, and he will be showing you a video. And after that, we have Uncle Hank Ferguson talking about the issue. What is the underlying issue of all of this? Like I said, the food source, our water. If you look at the EA, it mentions everything about their tactics, but the source of everything is your water distribution. And that's what Uncle is going to be talking about, and then after that, we can have the floor. Okay, Tony?
Okay, my presentation is actually going to be two parts. I'm going to start off with Mauna Kea. This is the older presentation I did last year. And then I'm going to go into the watershed, which is going to directly affect. Can you guys hear?
You guys can hear?
Yeah, I can hear.
So you gotta talk loud, we don't can hear.
Yeah, I know.
Where's the light?
Okay.
How do you turn this light?
So,
Right here. This is on.
light? Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be in two parts. The first part, well, it's all going to be tonal balance and dialogue, but the first part is going to be a whole lot of
I'm not gonna keep going.
Okay.
No.
Tonal, of course, is doing the right thing. Balance, this is the hard part, taking everything into consideration.
No, what I can hear.
Okay, so now we know what balance has to be. We have to take everything into consideration. Environment, hunting, our culture, traditions, subsistence, family bonding. Now we get into dialogue. How do we do that? So we take part in a conversation or discussion to resolve a problem. Because this is a big problem. Now this is a lot of words, but what we have to get to is we have to understand science and culture. And science involves a systematic, deductive skills. Well, belief system culture is something that exists solely because so many people have believed, doing it for so long, and passed it down through generations. Here we have a system constructed from independently verifiable explanations, science, versus a system constructed by our ancestors as a way to interpret information with no independent verification, other than it is as it is because society says so, belief system culture. Ultimately, belief system and science cannot be intertwined as a mode of progression because the result is cloudy data of the scientists, information and conclusions, and it's loss of culture for people that live in culture. So we have to understand that this is what we're facing. Science, nobody in science, you get sick, you go to the doctor, everything like that. But to what point do you dissolve culture because of science? And that's what we have to find. This is something that is, another generation, and we all just going to be science. Okay, so sheep Kamomani Kolila. Now, the debate is not about bad science, it's about selective science. And that's what I call it. That's a lot of times what happens. We all believe in science, we look at the things, but when people publish stuff, when they do research, we want to find out that if this doesn't agree with the ideology or the agenda, your science is not published. This is published. So there's a lot of things that go on that is not published. And the stuff that gets published is the stuff that they run through. Before the arrival of modern man to the Hawaiian Islands, large studies were worried around the forest floor, much as the sheep digging goes through today. I debated this with the scientists, oh no, but there wasn't that many of them. How do you know he was here? I know caves up on Mauna Kea that is 3 feet thick with the bones of extinct birds. What were those birds eating for thousands and thousands of years? They have to eat something. The forest said the same thing. The Hawaiian rail, the 4-foot high bird, So there was things there. They're just like goose. You raise one goose, you see what he do to your yard. You don't need more. Okay? So threats to the survival of the Pele. Now, of course, the sheep gets to burn or everything, right? But at one time, 40% of less failures was due to cats, rats, and quail. Now they got it down to about 10% for cats. And I don't know what the rats and quail was. I know in 1979, by Long Grant, I know, so we took a burn on in there. And they used to open it up for 2 weeks. The place was covered with dead owls. They would go put rat poison or mice poison for the pretty bird. And I guess the owls would eat the sick mice and rats. And it would kill all the owls. So, science again. Wildlife biologists, they monitored the Pele for years, and this is a key right here. The level of cat predation inhibits the restore the Pele population. There's like 1,200 birds right now. Even if cat predation is 10%, that's 100 birds a year. Okay? Just from cats alone. The reproductive cycle of the birds, they can't keep up. The death is greater than what's being born. So just with cats alone. Nothing to do with sheep, nothing to do with rats, nothing to do with drought, or anything else. The evidence comes from the study, and this is all study, this is not stuff, this is stuff from the biologists and the scientists themselves. That 68% of the cat shit, scat, you want to call it, has bird parts inside. So these cats are eating, these feral cats, wild cats, which is a whole breed of its own up there now, these great cats. They've been around for about 100 years already up there. They're wiping out the bird population. Okay, just hold on to the bottom.
Eradicate cats.
They tried, but the cats are so adaptive that they know the Pele bird, a bright yellow bird. The problem with the Pele bird is that its nest is in the main trunks, the main branches of the tree, so it's not very high off the ground. So the cats just watch where the birds fly. Why would one go and trap and eat poison or eat dead bait when I can get one fresh? Plus cats just like to kill stuff. So it's just part of their whole thing. Yes. Now this is a video from USGS. This is a Pele bird nest. It's a mom. I'm just going to watch off this video of a video. But that's its chicks inside the nest. And you'll see in a few moments here, you're going to see the branch kind of shake. And you watch what comes up in here. And they put these cameras in different sites in the Pele habitat. Just to monitor what's going on. And I'm sure you're going to be shocked right there. Here it comes up. Ooh, that's the cat right there. There you go. One generation of Pele dog. Cats got to eat every day. What else do you want to eat up in Pele habitat up there? 10 to 11,000 feet of Monica. Yeah. That's all they eat. All the Pele birds. Okay? This is another one. It's a still. This is another camera. Another one of the cats looking in another nest. Okay? And then, of course, rats. They're everywhere that they'll eat everything. Okay? So we don't have to read all this. This is where I talk about selective science again. And I always go back to, you gotta look at it, this is an agenda of what we see. And I hate to sound that way, and I'm not being political or anything like that. But we talk about like climate change or global warming and all that. But yeah, when I confront them with this, they ignore it. This is not part of the science here. They don't realize, and they all tell you that, oh, for 20 years we've been in a drought, the rainfall, and this is important because when I get to the rainfall portion, you guys will understand why. That since 1983, the volcano has been erupting. And through science, which is what they call CCN here, it's called condensation nuclei. From the volcano, what it does, that aerosols in the air, it doesn't allow water droplets to form. So even though the sky, if you notice, especially where Gary lived, it can be gray, look like the rain, but no rain. So the moisture, you cannot combine into water droplets to fall to the ground. So the moisture is all up in the air, never falls to the ground. That's a direct relationship to the volcano since 1983. It's been going on. But they don't use that data because that's something they cannot control. So they throw that out. Okay, next. Okay, so drought affects all wildlife. So the biggest stressor to the survival of money trees are on because that's the part with the sheep now. The sheep eat the young, the bottom branches, and if any new growth or any new trees start to grow, the sheep will grind it. So currently, it's not a problem because there are 1.5 million mamani trees up there. there's 900,000 trees that actively have seed. So that's almost 900 trees per bird. But in the future, what's going to happen? If there's no new trees coming up, eventually the trees will die off and they're not going to even have a habitat. So I always keep that in mind. So what I say is, we do not know, the biggest problem is this Armillaria Malaea, if I'm saying that correctly. That's a fungus. And I don't know if sheep browsing, if they gnaw on the bark of the trees or whatever like that, if it accelerates the fungus problem or not. So that's something to just keep in mind too. And what that stuff is, why this thing is so important, is this is huge. Right here, the spore disease is the resource critical to the Pele, is that fungus. And it's introduced fungus that attacks the roots of many trees and involved in and not responsible for a substantial mortality of Hawaiian trees and saplings of Hawaiian tail. This is their own data. This is from the 1950s. They started realizing that, you know, and that's what pisses me off too. When they show you a picture, oh, in 1890, this is what the mountain looked like, and last year, this is what it looks like. That's man. Man cut down all those trees, okay, for firewood, for fence posts, and everything. Now the scapegoat is the sheep and all that kind of stuff. Don't blame that. Man did that. Man introduced this fungus. This fungus comes in the dirt with other trees that came to the island at the turn of the century or whatever, and it spread all over the island, and it killed the roots. That's what killed all of, in the 1950s, all the big Maumani trees died because of this stuff. So inevitably, when you go up Mauna Kea and you see a grove of dead trees, it's that the fungus is spread in the soil and the roots, and it kills off. People don't know that. It's very important. You'll never see that on any papers. Okay, another thing is relocation of pets. This pertains to like Kahuna, you want to release the crow and stuff in there. Maumani, same thing. All the relocation efforts that they do, they either return to their native territory or they succumb to predation. They spent a lot of money and time relocating animals, birds, hundreds and hundreds of them. It's all been a complete failure. And they go back to, oh, we didn't have enough money to continue the program. Whatever. Okay. The other side is habitat degradation. Now this happens. See, the state of Hawaii has never implemented a game management plan. And that's why I've lost to the hundreds. That's always been a problem for me. Because how can you blame an animal if you've never managed it? We have a department that's supposed to do that. And Hawaii is the only state that doesn't have them. And that is only because they start taking our animals, instead of our animals being game and as a resource and have value, it's now an invasive species, an injurious wildlife, a pest, and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, these are the problems. The thing is here, see, habitat degradation happens when unchecked populations in a given area, or animals combine to smaller ranges. Fencing, that's the problem when you do with fencing. You're going to start turning our island into paddocks. And then you get limited access and stuff. So, you know, if you manage the animals, you're not going to have to destroy the forest. There's a certain amount of animals that can be in there that is not going to be damaging the forest will be able to rejuvenate itself. Okay, funding for the game management. This is what we get for game management. Okay, we get about $80,000 actually, but that comes from the hunting license fees. So we get $80,000 to manage game, which most of that is for all items, and most of that goes for land lease and stuff like that, like lanai and stuff like that. $80,000. Okay. This is the other program that get funded. Natural Area Reserve. This watershed partnerships, forest management, White Nation Species Council. Millions. Just this year, $8 million for next year. We don't want money. State of Hawaii is broke. Came up with $8 million, $5 million from the general fund and CIP, capital improvement projects. You don't get to a roof on your school, but we don't get money to go in the forest and kill the pigs and put fences. Yeah, that's all it is, a deed. So no game management plan, endless slaughter of our animals, the degradation of our land, and conflict. And then we have to do this kind of stuff. 600 animals that left to rot a couple months ago. And then we get all this weed infestation out to 5 weeks. This is a classic example. All these trees, these Hawaii trees are all dying from that fungus. Okay, it's not dying from sheep, because there's been no animals in this area for about 20, 30 years. Other than occasional pigs, a game bird, and stuff like that. This is on Wyoming land, actually. Okay? This would be cattle. And of course, cats. They're all over them. And this is what fences do now. Okay? Spend millions of dollars on fences, and animals get trapped. This is not your neighbor's yard, and you go push them go through. Okay? This is what happens now. The animals are left to dry up and rot next. And then animals left to get shot and left to rot and die. Right? They shot hundreds and hundreds of these things. Well, and then they tell us they don't have to salvage animals. They're lucky that they do what they do. And then these animals are trapped now. This is a fuel net. This fence. This is carcasses.
Where's that?
Monica? It's all about PTA and all that areas.
Oh my God.
You know? And it's 7 million for this fence. Amazing all the guys, all proud of this stuff. I want to get proud when you see this kind of stuff. This is what's actually happening. Out there, you look at your environment and you see what this is doing.
Send her the pictures.
Both sides is dead. They're keeping the animals out of here, but it's nothing. This is where they leave the animals in the lava fields. I mean, what are we treating humans pretty soon like this? Okay. And that's the end. Killing the moms, and the babies hang out by the moms. You know, waste a bullet. So the baby just starves to death, dying by the mother. So what is next? Why legs? The pigs, our culture. Okay, I'm going to get into the watershed part. Now, this rain follows the forest. This is part of what Governor Abercrombie is administration. And you know, in a sense, if you look at this, it sounds great. I was told by a politician that, you know, when you ask people what is more important, fresh water or hunting, 95% of the people will say fresh water. Of course, sure. Okay. But this is where it comes in now. Now they create these priority watershed areas. Now the red is all priority, this is phase 1. Phase 1 and phase 2 is fencing and eradicate. Although they only can afford so much at a time, so like the 4,000 acre area here, they want to double the watershed size. They have about 340,000 acres of priority 1. And I think they're like 5% of it fenced. And they want to get it up to like 10%. So they're not going to fence all of this. They tell you, but you can see it if you go through. I'll show you guys. Okay, watershed protection and restoration. This is their action. Number 1, remove all those animals from priority 1 and 2 areas. This action is essential for the first step of forest watershed protection. Okay, fenced core areas, now that's their little spots that they want to do. And this is the 840,000 acres of priority watershed. The reason why it's so high is because it's private lands. It's not just state lands anymore. All partnerships and everything like that. Okay, and then that's all of the proposed actions, landowners' approval, and decades of work will be required. Invasive weeds and plants will be controlled through mechanical, chemical, and biological agents. So we need more insect. You know, right now, O'Neill is getting a rust up Saddle Road. That's only within the last 2 years. They've been widening Saddle Road, and right after that, at first I thought it was because the trees right along the road, and we got stressed from the D9s and all. Oh man, I've seen in 2 years, it's orange. When you drive over in the morning now, all the other trees is all orange. All the branches, the stems, everything. This fungus is just, and all the leaves fall out. It's going to invade all the regular forest now. And then of course the chemicals. Chemicals in your watershed will kill invasive plants. Hawaiian land now is going to have a program for their gorse, and we try to work with them to say, hey, why don't you use goats? Because in New Zealand and stuff like that, they use goats, a pasture that is 66% gorse. Within a year, 40 per hectare, they cut it down to like 5%. But they don't want to do that because they're afraid that the goats going to get loose or whatever like that, and get back to the law. So instead, they apply 10 gallons per acre. It's a 1,000-acre plot. 10,000 gallons of poison in perpetuity. They got 23,000 acres of this stuff to take care of. That's the watershed.
Wow.
Okay?
That's watershed.
So it's just the reality. The philosophy like, okay, use the animals Yeah, that's no fence. Fence the doors, run on bulldozer if you got it, smash it, anything that gonna go back up, leave the goats in there for 4 or 5 years. Then you start culling them out, and you start planting corn, to shade them out, and you do all that kind of stuff like that. But they're just so afraid of animals, that's just. I used to told them, I said, well, why don't you guys sterilize it first? For the test plot, and put them in there so you can see, oh yeah, wow, this work. You know, then you keep on breeding stock to make more. And then you get nice feathers and you can sell them, or you can give them to the Hawaiian people, because it's on Hawaiian land.
Right.
Okay. Where am I? Okay. Watershed protection and management program now. Okay. Why are the watershed partnerships important? And that's the key now, is partnerships. And these partnerships is what's killing us now. We're combining resources, county, school, district, state, federal, nature conservancies, everybody. So you get huge pools of money and it's a continuous going through. Right here. The entire watershed recharge area needs protection. Now how are you going to tell me you only want to double the size of the watershed? And right there, this is their own words. The entire watershed recharge area needs to be protected. 840,000 acres.
It's from them they have to protect the watershed from. Because they coming off.
Part of the watershed area is affected by the health of the neighboring parcels. So the mindset there, you have to get it working with everybody. This is where I got to catch you
You're
guys.
brainwashing the landowners.
The State Water Resource Protection Plan now. This is the state plan. And this is why I got involved with this issue. This is why it pisses me off. Because science is science and data is data, and that's good. But this data, this organization, this state organization is the one that does the water assessment in 2008. And why it's so important, this Water Resource Protection Plan, is because this plan is what the politicals on Oahu, when the Abercrombie guys came in, and the New Day, and the rainfall supports, they followed this plan, okay, this state plan in 2008. Next. Okay, this is the USGS, it's the federal government now. They went into this in 2011, 3 years later. Okay, this covers a tremendous amount of water over Hilo and your parts of your forest up here too. Okay, next. Right here. Now it's a bunch of numbers and crap, and I'll explain it easily. When USGS did their study in 2011, the results is very different from the states. Now, the watershed plan already came up. Feds came in and did it. These numbers here, especially in Kauai, you guys being duped with your guys' watershed, 200, these numbers is percent. The USGS water assessment, 264% higher than the state. You got 264% more water than the state plan in this area, this aquifer. 140, 78, 166, 49, on and on. The only ones who's in trouble or was less, this one, and of course, this side area, because they don't really get much green. And all the ranches are well, so they can actually use the water. You guys, look, they have some wells that you use right now with the watershed stay. Oh yeah, it's empty. So, how can you trust science? When one was a study, 2008, which is fine, okay, they're perfect, but that's the plan that they took, and they came to everybody, and they came to the legislature, oh, we're in a crisis, the water is way down, blah, blah, blah. Everybody got on board, USGS comes along, oh my goodness, water has it up. But did they tell anybody, did they tell you guys that? No, we're in a crisis, everything is in crisis. You know, and in some of these areas, yeah, maybe, but you know, this is dry areas, plenty gentlemen ranches, they sucking all that water out, put a collections or whatever. Huh? Another thing is watersheds too, they don't talk about it. Most of this area is catchment. People catch their rainwater, you're not even using the aquifer. You can provide aquifer water to them first. Okay. The groundwater usage, this is another thing that pisses me off. This is quite funny. The current population of this island, 185,000. It tells we're using about 100 million gallons a day. If you buy that by the people, you come up with 540 gallons per person per day. Who uses that much water? If you're using that much water, that's the problem. We need to have conservation. We need to be conserving our water. If people are wasting, I have a farm, I have a pig farm, and I most people with big benza, they're gonna hold on every day. Okay, next. Now this is one single resident water bill. 100 gallons a day. Okay? But the assessment they use 540. And now that goes into the calculation of how much recharge we had and everything. Oh yeah, at this rate, this and that. So, okay, this is another thing. This is a state law. This is a state law that doesn't allow us to fly with helicopters, and they've been violating this law ever since. And we tried to challenge it, but everybody's scared. Nobody like challenge it for some reason because the way the system is. So, that's about it. I can talk about it.
Thank you, Tony. What we wanted to let all of you know is that at the beginning of last year, we had a whole bunch of us with Tony giving his presentation to the county council. County council thought that was an ideal thought to take this home rule. So we spent hours and hours of testimony in front of our county council so that they could pass two bills, Bill 260 and 261. To let you know about that, I didn't have, if you're interested, I'll email it to you. I forgot it. But 260 and 261 was to bring about a game management commission, which we did through ballot and the election. We had 39,000 of our people voting for a game management commission. And then we had actually passed the no eradication through the aerial shooting bill. We managed to do that. However, we have Bill Ida, Department of Land and Natural Resources, telling our people that he's federally mandated to do what he has to do. So they went ahead with aerial shooting. And from what I heard, they managed to do that maybe last month.
Yeah, they did April,
April?
and July.
April and
August,
July.
and it was in September again.
And eradication tactics that to some people is
Bringing
very
in guys from Colorado now. Because the local brothers was like, let me couple in there, you know what I mean? But not they got the guys come in. Everything they see. They shot 500 in about 4 hours. They heard them all, and it was shoot them
Now
all.
what do? Are they supposed to be bringing the carcasses out?
Well, that's the problem. They allow only a certain amount of permits, and a lot of times it doesn't get filled because it's in the middle of the week. People gotta take off from work, or people that actually need it. Who has a four-wheel drive? You need a four-wheel drive to go to these places. It's not like they're bringing one to two-wheel drive staging area or whatever like that.
So a lot of
So we
times-
asked if they could do it on the weekend, if they could, provide areas of two-wheel drive. Oh, we don't even have to sell it. We just do it as a good gesture.
Yes.
Terry, Tony.
Yes.
I don't know if you're aware of it, but I got some information that you were just talking about the shooting, the building you're killing, and they're shooting. Well, they are giving, like you said, by permits or limited permits. The purpose of that is because when they shoot these animals, they are contaminated already, and they're giving it to people when people get sick. The state right now is facing a lawsuit. Because some of the people that took it, I don't think you heard about it yet, but it's going to come out. If the states are giving that, they're giving a lottery, giving that, and the people are getting sick. So now they limit it, and eventually they're not going to give, period. Because they're shooting the animals, and when you shoot the animal from the air, you got to bleed them immediately. They're not bleeding them, they're getting contaminated, and that mountain has a lot of disease for it.
Oh, real flies. I work up on the mountain, and you guys should have seen the flies after that. For almost 3 weeks, just thousands and thousands of flies everywhere. You get the roll paper towels that were covered in flies. It's like, oh, I make no complaint, they shut me up.
I wouldn't say this if I didn't get any information. I have a scientist that's my friend, yeah. I think if we have a lot of people, what I told them, right away, access a medical scientist. This is how I get this information. I want to reveal his name. But he supports our fight against eradication and access and all that. But this is what he told me that they are giving the people are beginning to get sick and the state are getting, but they're going to deny it. Naturally, they're going to deny everything they're trying to present.
Well, the mitigation suit that we're hoping to continue is our way, a strategy of actually calling out these biologists, scientists, and workers to come out on the stand and tell us their eradication tactics, all the infractions that might have been accumulated within 50 years or more. You know, so and this is why I'm here. I'm here to ask if there's any one of you in Ka'u that would like to be a part of our witness list. It is important. I've already submitted some, but it would be helpful to have this. Now, I have some cousins that work for DLNR, and they have been fencing, they have been baiting. Now, this is something that was asked some of the scientists. Do you actually use chemicals to bait and kill the ungulates, they call them, our pigs? And I have a cousin that says yes, but I don't like to rap on my friends because that's their job. You know, so what they do is they're actually laying some chemicals like our rat poisons or some kind of poison that should only be used around the household area that they're using illegally for the eradication of our ungulates, and which would cause some hunters have found some pigs that were infested, depending on the digestion of the chemicals that they've eaten. We have some information that some of that the bait laying out there's nothing that's going to survive. But and this is all the things that we need to challenge so that we can bring them to order. You know what I mean? To give us a chance to speak so that we can actually have them say, I mean, really, how much damage has a pig done? You know, they say the pig feces goes into the water aquifer, and they go to the top of the soil. What about those that live up watershed areas and have their cesspools in that area? I mean, how deep is your cesspool? So all of these need to be in conversation. I want to read a letter from someone that wanted me to read tonight. It says here, from the 1970s, major rich organizations have dictated to the people in Hawaii and what animals we can have to gather as sustainable food. 340,000 animals has been slaughtered by aerial shooting, by fencing, trapping, and even poison. Even our rights pertaining to fishing has been restricted. These organizations use the word Hawaiian to protect many species that are not native to Hawaii. The Hawaiian native geese, the hawk, the owl, bat, crow, monk seal. Millions of dollars in grants from the government supply these organizations. Our DNR Fish and Game has failed to manage and comply with the judicial duties to manage our land. 3 million acres have been taken and fenced and eradicated. Hawaii is no longer the land of Aloha, it is the land of eradication, death, fencing, signs, and locks. Not if, but when natural disaster strikes or the loss of our Social Security, welfare, food stamps, housing, and Medicare ever ends, what then? Then we will see lawlessness at a full scale at that time. Righteous farmers in every home will be a target for survival. All species of animals, birds, plants, all have the right to exist and be properly managed by man. These organizations that leech off of our government are well known to many. Sierra Club, Nature Conservancy, Three Mountain Alliance, NARS, Earth Justice, our government is corrupt. Does anyone here think that these organizations will bring you a bag of groceries when any disaster strikes? A wild pig, a goat, a sheep, deer can sustain a family of 6 for a week. We have the land carrying capacity for thousands of animals that could easily sustain the people of Hawaii in time of need. Under fraud and disguise, these organizations have been successful. When will it end? How can it end? What can we do? All the animals in Hawaii was brought here for sustainable food, for the Hawaiians before us today and for the future generations of tomorrow. Wake up, people of Hawaii. What you see and hear is total government control. They have held a sting to harass some of our hunters, take them as far as Supreme Court to say that they were environmental terrorists. To call a Hawaiian an environmental terrorist just doing what he traditionally was taught to do to feed his family for survival is not a terrorist. He is just doing what it takes to survive here in this land. We were 100% independent of ourselves until Western man came. We knew how to take care of our land. We knew how our land was providing our resources. We knew how to conserve them. Why did they not ask us Hawaiians how to conserve the land that we've lived on for hundreds of years? We have not had a voice, and this is why the infractions. If they had just given us the opportunity to say what we needed to say, teach them how to take care of our land, we wouldn't be in the predicament we are today. And so we are here today to make solutions for that and stop them from their infractions. So that EA that you have, it gives you exactly where it's going to be done. The fencing is done, 12,000 acres up in the Nars area. Now, the people adjacent this would be Volcano National Park, Nature Conservancy, Kamehameha Schools, and other private land areas, and Three Mountain Alliance. So take a look at this, see who the players are. We have issues in that area, but look at the proposal and see where you can see how it will be affecting your life here in Kauai. And so I'm going to ask Uncle Everett to be able to give the next presentation. We want to move on so that if you have anything to say after Uncle Hank, we'd like to hear it. Uncle Everett. Uncle Everett.
Invested in scientists, 6 observatories, spy observatories, laser observatories. Science City is the name of the pole, the top of Pele. You come to Mauna Awakea. It's the real name of Mauna Kea, Mauna Awakea. Not White Mountain. It's the home of the Sky Father of Awakea. Numuhea was up there. The gods live up there. They were there first, before the Hawaiians. But Numuhea wasn't built up there. It's already occupied right now. Mauna Awakea, the very pole, the very top, the summit of Mauna Kea, is called the Mauna Kea Science Reserve. Scientists habitat. volcano, Pele, Kilauea. Today it's called Volcano National Park. They changed the Hawaiian name to American name, Scientist Habitat. Hakalau is called the bird sanctuary. The misnet of birds, the misnet of bats, the opeapea, the misnet eel, the Hawaiian hawk. They tag them, they do experiments on them. Scientist habitat, Hakalau. Mauna Kea, Mauna Awakea. Scientists have it. They're not even building big telescope. Waimanu Valley, Waimanu, the biggest valley in our island. It's called the Waimanu National Estuary Research Reserve. Scientists have it. Oh, Lau Pahoehoe Forest. You hear the word Pahoehoe? Why is that Pahoehoe, Lau Pahoehoe? Because inside our forest is one volcano with two cinder cones side by side, two craters on top of the cinder cone, deep inside the forest, way up inside the forest. And as a young man, I heard about that. And I would go find him inside the forest. And I walk up that cinder cone. I find the cinder cone and dream. And I walk up that cinder cone. And I walk in the two craters. And the legend has it of the Makaimana and the Kali people had a big party at Pahoehoe. Before it was out Pahoehoe, it was Pahoehoe. And Pele was to come to that party at Pahoehoe. But she was late because she had Hakaka with one of her sisters coming here. So she would come late. So when she reached the party, hey, two sisters, twins, identical twins. That's the name of her boyfriend. She would chase the two sisters up mountain. Way through the forest, she would chase them. Just as the two sisters, the twins, were running away from her, she would throw in fireball, turn them into a cinder cone with two craters. It's the legend. And I walked up that cinder cone and in the two craters. I walked into my crater, my friend and I walked in, we scared. Where you fall into the pool? I walked inside the crater. Wow, they let me do the crater. I walked inside, walked up, went down from where the other one, and the cinder cone so high, you can see all the top of the forest and the ocean, sleep beside our Pahoehoe. I looked behind me, the crater that I used to come out of, just like that one over there. I didn't know the legend in it. And I walked inside the other one, come out, and then I heard the legend that I had already walked in it. So Hawaiian legends, they hold facts. And scientists in Hawaii only create better scientists out of that. And now they will come to they took out our Pahoehoe forest. They call them now the experimental forest. That's what it's called. In 2006, Lindonigo and Akaka gave our Pahoehoe forest 12,857 acres of land that we hold very spiritual. When we went to the forest, that's not that. It's an emotion. The scientists say, but first, they gave a lot more forest land. For 50 years, I get the law right here. It's the Hawaii Tropical Forest Recovery Act, Experimental Tropical Forest of Pahoehoe. The scientists own our Pahoehoe forest, 12,857 acres, for 50 years from the day that sovereignty is recognized. I told the media that sovereignty is recognized from that day, maybe 15 years from now, 10 years from now. From that day is when the 50 years start. So they practically own the forest forever. And we love that forest. We know all our forests. Ta'au, we start from where people say, Ta'au, that forest. The next forest, Niupea. Niupea means golden palm, the sand coconut. There's some poetic Salem. I dreamed that palm tree and I will find them. Me and my son. I will find a palm tree. Go to the next forest, Pele, the Pacific to the ocean. It's all together, like a boundary that gulches, determine the boundary. So we know where they stay. The next forest, Mano Pele. Mano, the shop of the fresh water. That means the old, with the big lips, they hide in the shallow, the nakea. And they attack the prey. They call that forest Mano Pele. You go to the next forest, Kumula. Kumula is the stone that they make the ashes. In that part of the forest, I know where every way, ash quarry stay. That's where they make the ashes, the puppy. They put on the handle of this outway. All these are forests, the Hawaiian culture of way before, the Stone Age culture is still on the floor. We reflect on that culture. It's very spiritual when you go inside the forest. Not only changing the big, it's not a conversation about the plot. We involve in all the spectrum of the forest, the birds and everything. And the next forest is Waipunale. Waipunale means sweet spring water. Wild water, Luna spring, to the lady's eye, sweet. The next forest, Hoa. Owls are hoi. The leaf of lava. That's why they call it lava hoi. What is that point? You know the lava hoi point? That is lava hoi. The rest is actually hoi. But fully in the leaf. So, and then for the next forest is Maulua. Maulua was named after the chief of Buddha. So that's why we know where we stay when we go in the forest. We're not just walking fully. We know where we are. So, and we're not only concerned with our Mahua. When they first took the 10 acres of Puna to make geothermal, and then Naiole and Emila Naiole, when Stanley found the bulldozer with our money, they all got arrested. No come inside our forest with the bulldozer. They took 10 acres. Our hunting club planted 10 core trees in our Humula forest. The starting process for the first 10 acres, they were moving from Puna. And now, I gotta put on my. But I got this newspaper, Ka'u, forest land advances. Ka'u, the red basket of the island, the first Polynesians landed in Ka'u. That's why they call them the rest of the land. Ka'u. Who is the rest? It is the food basket of the island, way before. Ka'u. And I kept this newspaper. When was this? 2012, October. And I get some sayings about Ka'u, the wind name. Like I said, Ka'u, here, Kamakani. Ka'u stands distinguished and proud in the wind. Ka'u, Kamakani. Great Ka'u. With a strong back of the wind blowing over him. Ka'u is always windy. And they get Ka'u, Namamu Ake Iti. Ka'u, descendants of rebels. That means the set of people of Ka'u that rebelled against any oppression of their lands and their people. You Kamehameha, Ka'u stood for Ka'u. This is only said, Olelo Loeau, the prince who had written it. And so, I keep this newspaper, and I just like, highlight some things to you. If you read the whole article, you just read on it. But I will highlight some things that they say about Peru. The proposed Peru Forest Reserve Management Plan, like Sister said earlier, no significant impact. That tells me we'll get impact.
Yeah.
Not just significant, but we'll get impact. That's what that says. And it says, fencing about 12,000 acres will take 15 years and cost 10.4 million. Okay? They dismissed the idea of fencing the full 61,000 acres, which will cost $20 million that they couldn't afford. That tells me if they had $20 million, you guys have a forest today.
That's right.
If you read them, you know what I mean? And then, so they said they can only fence 12,000 acres in Peru. Then he said, oh yeah, additional forest protection through fencing and ugly removal. That means they're not going to stop at 12,000 acres. I mean, what are they doing to us in Hong The scientists are management unit, next thing you know, the whole hills are gone. Only one observatory was the deal. One observatory was the deal. Back then in the day, the guy with the scientist on the Hawaii, with Governor Burns. And then he saw Mauna up there and he said, what is that? I'd like to do an observatory there. One observatory was the deal. Governor Burns gave to that scientist. You have to make a road. The road is called Burns Way. That's the Governor Burns. Now they get 13 observatories in one monster. And even though those observatories say, we'll come on up here and not go away. When I was down there, when my beard was black, the water bubbled under the ground. You know where the volcano is? In a certain elevation, all the forests I just mentioned, the water springs, where the spring stopped. No more forest about to make that phenomenon, The water bubbled along the side, I went down and drink of that. Tumubay, they call that, the source of fresh water. And all that elevation, you go more hillside from there, the water shoots out of the ground, Waikiki. You go right from there where the spring stops, the sweet spring water. You go Mula where the spring stops, all in that elevation. Where that water come from? Underneath the observatories. Mauna Awakera is the greatest collector of fresh water. Snow melts, the clouds. They pull the moisture out of the air and they take it to the cracks, down into the bottom. There's all the water stay there, feed the springs and come out to work. Because of those observatories, I cannot drink that water anymore. It is poison. 1 teaspoon of that chemical they use on top there, the observatories poison all that water. Papa Hawaii, the big, the whole Mina go away, He was a big medicine man. Talk stories, everything. You were meeting in Kona. When they were first reclassified this forest, Kabu is number 1 and 2. They were reclassified the forest, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, every meeting speaking against it, because every forest in Hawaii, they want thing in common. They all get on Hawaiian name. They don't want, The forest in your Akapua is what you get. So Kau, forest number 1 and 2. Amakua, we get 3 and 4. Puna, 3 and 4. They classify the forest that way. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So Papa Hawaii, he stand up. In the meeting, he come down there, I was there. And he said, hey, you cannot tell me what forest not to go. As a Hawaiian medicine man, I was able to touch all the forests of Hawaii. Some forests are more powerful medicine than others. That's what he tells them. Some forests are more medicine than others get. You don't get to tell me what forest to go and what not forest not to go. And he said, I don't call that low medicine products. Because even the spider web is a medicine. You can kill your fawn like how he tell me how to kill a bee. He takes no medicine plants in the Puna forest because it might be poisoned by the unseen things of the geothermal. He said he don't can administer such medicine to his patients. And you know what the scientist told him? Too bad. You gotta learn to go get the medicine from forest 1 and 2, which is going to give to the locals. The scientists will take 1 and 2. Who is 1 and 2? So, when I say scientists in Hawaii only create better scientists habitat, Pele. And I will show you tonight what the scientists have done inside our forest since 2006 in these videos. I get posters and all, but you know. But then, so in this thing here, I read all between the lines, you know, of what they're going to do. They're not going to stop at only 12,000 acres. And where was the brother said over here? At the last meeting, you guys said, he said, the DLNR should not come to Kau. You know, it's Namamo Akiti, you know. No come to Kau. That's what he would say. Go press us. In Kau. So, you know, he said, they're going to create jobs for themselves. That's the first thing they do. 15 years. Guaranteed job in Kau for the scientists. They will create roads. How we get enough of roads? We have a road going through the forest. That's how you kill the forest. You build the first road through the forest, you kill the forest. Everything else will follow. Invasive species and they will destroy the forest. That's what they're doing to our hawaiian forest. There's got a road going right through the forest that the DLNR built in 1969. A lot of the big 4 trees and the big 1-year trees will take 2 years for tourists. You're supposed to hammer that road, dismantle the road, but they never. And now the scientists are using them. And that's the only reason they will choose that forest, was because of that road. So even in Kau, they're going to make roads, they're going to make helicopter pad, like they're doing in Waimea. And it's not only fence in the square. They will make fences running through the forest, just straight lines. That's what they're doing right now. Straight lines around the fence. And then they snare on both sides of the fence. They put the poison next to the snare. When the snare gets a pig will eat the poison, they go mock it, they don't even check the snare. That's what they're doing inside right now. So when they actually pretty soon they're going to upgrade a couple of fences. That's what the DLNR is doing. So if you kill a pig, they say, oh, my man, he's right there. He's from Kohala. Oh man, and then they do Franco. And I touched the one pig, I touched him, living link to my ancestors. We regard the pig very highly. So the scientists, they say, the government should listen to them. Because scientists have facts and figures at their disposal, but the local people have anecdotal wisdom, perception, feelings, and emotions. That's the way I live Hawaiian style. When you live on an island, you live that way. But Hawaiians get facts too. Like I told you, so much legends, you know, contain a fact about that thing. So now we come to this. Pretty soon they say, as far as they will be catching all the birds. That's how they do this a lot of with the mist net. This was a kepa. They're going to be doing a letter fresh feed that kepa. They will start catching all the birds and tagging them. See this bird, they catch them 4 times, get 4 tags, it's a kepa. They drop back on the wings, they send them for analysis, DNA. If they come back that the DNA not too strong, the next time they catch the bird, they send them to a lot of forest or they neuter them, whatever they do, they might come meet the egg inside the forest. Absolutely love the little birds. In the eclipse of the sun, when the moon went from the sun, in 1990, me and my son, we were up inside the forest and we experienced the eclipse inside the forest with the birds and the nature, and it was beautiful. We were bound with the birds. I don't know what I see these. They catch hero. Ilo is the symbol of the Polynesian god. Ilo is a creator. The Hawaiian hawk is named after the creator of the Polynesian. Ilo, like Mohawk, no, not God, but the creator, they call him. You can fly the highest, you can land on any branch you like, you can see it far. I don't have the experience of it, but they do. And what's the scientist here on the line? He's busy. And he said, we're very, I don't know how to go get my people trying to, but we did more harsh to us, he said. But if you know, they said, the pretty picture, this is Malama, University of Hawaii. They say, the pretty picture of Hawaiians living in harmony with nature must be considered a myth. The University of Hawaii print this. In the library, if you want to try to find that book, I was to find them again. When I was teaching myself, they don't teach us this in school about the plants and the birds in Hawaii. It teaches about fishes and palamas until I was in the 10th grade. I don't celebrate the 4th of July. It means nothing to me. I celebrate New Day, Kamehameha Day, you know. But that's what you're right. In the library, the book said, the whole book, during teaching myself about the ferns and stuff. The scientists, you tell me, the Hawaiians, in their canoes when they first came, they brought detrimental animals. They brought the ole, the rat. They brought the dog. They brought the quail, the pig. Stowaway insects. They brought mountain apples. They brought uru. They brought things like that. But they said in the next sentence, that's what it shocked me. The scientists say, but the worst thing that the Hawaiian brought was himself. Printed in the library. This is the same thing they say here. They say the same thing. So scientists were not going to relinquish the land to sovereignty. So they get that kind of fail-safes of 50 years. And by the time the 50 years end, they had some more. Anyway, it's just to let you know what the scientists feel about us locals. The Hawaiian with the blood and the Hawaiian who are infused with the blood. So, we will run this video to show you what the scientists are doing inside a Hawaii forest and what they will be doing inside the ice forest. So, on this first one, and it's only, they get like 200 bucks. And it's this one, 1 or 2 you guys will see. You can feel it, right? This is Kanagapo. We know the name of our plants. They found the nails in our trees. Every tree, the nail always have on the eye. My friend Malakiani, staggered around. You can make them a number. Our forest is scientists now. Look what they're doing to our once beautiful forest. Nails everywhere in the trees. Look at all the nails. Almost have on the eye. They're killing the trees. They're infesting them. They're making them open. Look at this guy. Look at it. This is what they call a zero fall. To catch the stuff on the trees so they can start it. But look at it too. They put them up and they leave them there. Our forest is now ugly. That's why we have the same ways. They will experiments. experimental forest. They found the rebars inside our forest. Our hunters made them remove them. We're not getting together. You will make the scientists have 2,000 rebars they have found inside our forest. You see what other video. I'm after the nails now. You never come inside that forest yet? Once you play so, you will be doing all this kind of stuff. Experiment. You got it, boy. You know, these burns our souls when we see these. We love our forest. We go to the forest to get away from the Americans. And now these things are. And this is when I was small in our village. It's all over our forest. We could be doing the same thing as they get forest. And I say thanks to like this side. And the fences will get all rotten from the trees falling around. The tigers will bend because they don't know how to build. But they said they all our trees, put up PVC. We made us hammer all the rebars that was underneath the PVC. You see another video. They just moved all our trees with it. But no, what the name of the tree is. They don't know it's or mamali, or mamaki, or kolea, you know? You know the name of all our trees. The name of the hapu. Why? Because money, they try to paycheck from our forests. No reason to put that there in a tree. You're killing our trees. It's becoming infested. It's festering with wounds. The nail, the hapu fall over from the nail. Broke right by the nail, fall down the middle, the skinny one. This tree was alive before they put the nail. Why would the nail be a tree? You see how you make the open end? Something happened to the tree with the aluminum nail. This thing happened with your eye. Every snag like that all on his head. Every day. So now I used to hammer with nails. I'm a nail hunter now. I carry one side car. I hammer the nails now. I hunted nails. This is scientists in Hawaii when they see other tree look. Something's happening in this Molapa. Something's happening. Why they got a nail there? To identify the name of that tree. My son tells me, I'll take you for the Hades tree. 30 years they built this famous trees. And this little small little trees we're walking up. So once the scientists come inside the room, they're going to be doing this. They're going to be doing experiments. Mistaking the birds. Tagging them. They're going to be doing experiments. They keep you out. Over the forest. They enter the forest. The forest don't need nobody but itself.
Were you allowed in this forest?
Huh?
Were you allowed in the forest or you had to jump a fence?
No fence stop me.
I know, but they they don't know.
This is not fence right now.
Just
This is one poor tree. Give me one name. One name of the tree. This is one poor tree. And the nail circle tree. You look, man. The nail, something's happening. But this, okay. They say they're going to check some of the best scientists in the world to Lapo Hoi. They don't call Lapo Hoi. word for danger. No word for danger. I gotta use the Japanese word, kabulai. But in Hawaii, no word for danger. There is no word. Now they're making our cars dangerous. Look, these people are market. And there are scientists. You don't even know that over here. Tree. I get posters and posters of nails. And now I'm a nail hunter. They nail the hot pool. Don't they nail that hot pool like that? These, all of our forests get this. They catch the seeds and the insects that fall. The insect forest are there. Go market. And every insect in our forest, they bite in. And they fall on that. Follow people. But they name it all our trees. They had found 2,000 bee bars in our forest, and we, us hunters, made them hammer all their bee bars.
Yes, that's very true. Well, you have to give it.
They're making our forest ugly and dangerous. And pretty soon they come in with our forest. Once they fence them, all this kind of stuff will be going on. We gotta draw a big check. We gotta prove their existence in 7 fence parks. All forest is ugly now. Boy. Yes, I used to drink the water and I cannot because of the scientists on the third story. I could walk in and makes my feet hate me, but now fences stop me. And I don't like going inside a fence area. I don't like going inside. Except one danger with the scientists. You see what happened to that tree? They're killing our trees with the nail. Look, it's a lot of coming. No reason for the nails of trees. So now I'm a nail hunter. And I will remove all those nails myself in the house. And I can handle instead of nail. Look, no reason for the nails. They're supposed to be educated. They're supposed to be intelligent. They're not. The nail, the almost get hurt. So, what is it? So and the nails that have up on the knife from the tree, he stands straight up because the tag hold on like that. Now we got 100 stooge things.
Not that way. It's dangerous. More dangerous than a bee.
Yeah, with my son. Now, at least you can see the bird netting station that they get in our forest. Look. The tree fall down, he fall up in the nail. Danger. After you run through the forest, all kind of crazy experiments they're doing. We just cannot understand why Lingo and Akaka they give these people our forest. Why did they never give it to the Hawaiians? Because I guess they do one. This is the bird netting station.
Campsite over here.
We made them clean all up.
Campsite over here.
They catch the birds in the open up there. They catch the bats. They catch the hawk. They
Water
catch
over here.
everything. Mosquitoes they breed in the scientists. We made them dismantle these things.
Oh, water coming out.
See the table, we didn't do the experiments on the birds. And
This
it's
is
a very angry.
the U.S.
The USGS, scientists, federal government.
U.S. Was it U.S.?
That's what they're doing now. In our local forest, where we get one volcano, steep in legend, and very mystical of our forest was. Now, the forest is un-Hawaiian, unmystical.
Yeah, artsy.
There's one more video, and I want you to watch this. This is a fencing video, and the debris that is brought in with fencing. I know someone that works with big invasive species. Yeah.
Homemade.
No, but compared to the density,
Masama yung bread.
What I wanted to tell you is that when you work with big invasive species, you have to be going through a sterilized process. As scientists or as eradication, you go in with a stringent sterilized process. You have to make sure that your boots are not contaminating the forest as you go in. I mean, I know that process because they have that procedure. Now, what we're going to question is, do they require private contractors and feds to do the same as they go into the North Forest? I'm not sure, but that was something that we need to find out. I mean, if they in fact go through that process. I mean, do you go through the same sterilization process as you enter the North Forest or our forest? Bringing invasive species. They're not worried about it when they go in to eradicate and bring it out. Are they less, worried about that too? So we're going to start that. But I want you guys to see this. After this, you're going to close with
When the first bird sing in the morning, all the other birds is singing. When the one bird sing, all the birds in your listen. Those say one bird. You listen to me. And then you take this first drink of water with special feathers for that early morning dew. We love being in the mountains in this time of the year. All other birds come up when the sun rises. We found the first bird. And you sure what fences look like? In the forest, all up home. Again, when the scientists move around. Yeah, there's no alipalo. As the goddess Leah, she come from here. As her body form, alipalo. This bird related us. But it's the body form, the Kinolao of Leah, the goddess of the canoe builders, of the edges, of the tree. Yeah, very cultural in ceremonies, very sacred land. Fences were nothing but a scientist. That's what the fences will look like for the next generation. The fence of the ground from the tree. With the materials, that was steel. Forgotten fence, now it's in danger. We like stuff and plants and stuff. We like some water. The light part of the forest. In Hawaiian, it is called Kawai Apulauki. The water that I drink, the tea cup. they do the experiments on. We love that. So, okay. Tagging them out, tags on the we don't like the scientists talks about animals. No trust the flying animals. You can only be punching everywhere. Yo, why not? The baby.
Mama, we see a hungry coffee.
Let's see this next problem. This we don't like seeing. The first few clouds we find. 2,000 years ago we made a science experiment. Look at it. When you tell them what they're going to do, they're going to build a helicopter pad. That's how they're going to bring everything in. The helicopter pad, they're going to build one cabin and it's like, my man, I just want to tell you what would happen. It's the first we found. 1 month later, 2,000 miles in the front.
Words is like means that of others. Scientists.
But we have band together something. And we made the science in reverse. All of our cars they had this. I fall down every time. I fall down in my cars. I don't like falling down on these rocks. We made them again. But this no can. This can happen inside.
Words is like means that of others. Scientists.
This is in Humula. We're on top. Next to the ranch. But we're happy for the next generation. They don't have this inside for me. The Hawaiian in the territorial days, the Hawaiian were rocking inside the forest. Territorial days, they had Hawaiian. The Hawaiian broke, they rocked in there. The Malolo and the Kupiko, the kind of trees inside the forest, they grow with the branches starting from down. Pick up the Hawaiian. And as you go, the Hawaiian, I got a picture of my son. You'll be safe right away. The papaya is up in the trees for the next generation. The shards, pieces, the broken pieces of the papaya in the trees on the territorial days. I get the picture in it. Yeah, my son's head, scar, 8 stitches. 8 stitches, my son. The papaya is the trees now. Science is not to make the forest dangerous. But anyway, you guys get the idea? Fancy? Yeah, but not really. Yes, sir. You're playing more attention, but All right. We have not been publishing as of late because most of the publishers have passed away. But I look around through this room and I go, see, all you guys got 3 chickens up, you guys next on the list, gotta set up. So I'm gonna start rounding you guys out. So you can do some pretty powerful stuff. Our power has diminished because our numbers have diminished. But because there was a great stand for Kupuna because it's kind of hard to argue with Kupuna. But these Kupuna endowed me an ability to speak to them. Endowed me, I mean, I just want you folks. Yeah? But because they saw the effort being very clean and very fun in the way we were trying to do it, they endorsed it. And we started off in 2003. We actually started off backing up Co-op Bay. And we let a situation sit for a year. When we realized that we had the power that we thought we could get, we decided to form a whole formal. And there's been calls from all around. There's been calling guys from colleagues and when we get back together again. And I said, as soon as I get some new prospects. And I'm looking around this room and I see these new prospects. Like Brother Everett and Eileen, and they're my classmates from high school time. You know?
Her grandma was on
At the Abbey, her granddaughter was my cornerstone. At the Jesse was one of my fathers. At the Debbie, back here, one of the founding conclusions. So we have a good foundation. I don't want to confuse the issue tonight with not going to hotel. We have some very, very pertinent stuff. I'd like to reserve that for another time. But the need to get together is so very important. Because along the side of all the sunny stuff, there's a whole other level of stuff going on, which has to do with the GMOs and this biofuel stuff. It has to do with the capturing of the water. So when they talk about setting up for conservation, they're really talking about keeping you away from the air they're going to develop to capture your waterways. And you guys can go, know what's happening about Macanao. And Honolulu, all that area is all under big concern. They have been controlling the water for years. And I believe you guys know, even there's millions of people who are actually buying favors from different farmers so they can capture the waterways. The only connection we can possibly have is grabbing our hands together. We can have differences, that's okay. Differences are good. But let's not forget that we're all come from the same land. We drink the same water. We breathe the same air. And if we want to continue that, we have to hold hands. So, I'm going to be throwing some stuff out here pretty soon where we can put out the whole together. And I invite all of you who feel similarly that it is our Kuleana. It is our time to step up to our Kuleana and take our place and act accordingly. This is not about rah-rah this government or rah-rah that government. This is about save our people and our people and save our resources. Yeah? And we have to do it systematically because these guys are very systematic. Like he said, you look at these EISs, the ASs they did, very systematic. They got almost every question answered. Yeah? They leave out the pertinent questions in regard to you because they think you too lazy to stand up. And I say, no. We're not too lazy. We're sick and tired of you guys. We don't know what you do because nothing ever comes out of it. So we have to make a favor of that. And so, again, I'm Huntley Ferguson. I'm not going to jobs. We will be getting back to everybody. We're going to start sorting the iron again. That's how we started the first time. And I hope when that message comes out, people out here will volunteer to come up to the place. And, I want to get this a little better than we had before. We just try to replace the street. That's what our problem is. A little rough, okay? And so, what I'm hoping to do is encourage you to start understanding the use of technology. We can have mass meetings on the internet. And if you don't know how to do it, I guarantee your kids know. Okay? Your kids are geniuses with stuff. I can't even figure it out. But your kids know how to do it. They know how to do it well. What we have to do is encourage them to utilize them in their capacity to help us. Elders know what we're doing. So we don't have to move and solve it and try to struggle with making these meetings. Okay? So that's what I have to say. Again, I don't want to talk about the meeting because this is a very important meeting. But this idea of holding hands together is so very important. And I really thank Tony for coming up. I really thank Eric. You wouldn't believe how many years I had to stop every time. following the project, come on. And I finally got it solved. For me, this is a blessing because the whole crew gang, they're going to put on the 15 ball, the whole pound on the job. That's how you do it, you know? Okay, anyway, I
wanted to bring a few people up, just, Doris, please come up here. And now is the time that I'm going to allow your community to say a few things. If you want to, if you have any questions, I hope you signed our attendance list so that you can have a conversation with you. I have a few visitors from Boston. Right there. I'm just gonna have to tell you, because I have a business in Mountain View, in Papamu, and they came looking for an indigenous business so that, because that's what they do. They wanted to mingle with the local people. They didn't want to go to your normal tourist site. So they spent some time talking to me about what we do, and they were interested, so they're here to listen about it and give us solutions because it's global, what they're realizing here, and I appreciate you coming here because they give us some information about how we can resolve our problems. But I'm going to give the time to Kyle. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, good evening. My name is Kyle Suarez. I'm a rancher here in the district of Pele. I've been on here for about 22 years. I used to work for Dr. James, who was actually at this time a Honolulu ladder. Used to play polo down in Pavilion Park back in the old days, and East Honolulu used to have camps through there when I was a kid. And a lot of fish ponds and stuff in Hawaiian Kai. Hawaiian Kai was kind of a lot like Kahu's on a smaller scale. But my involvement in this, you never really ever see ranchers in environmental meetings, whether it be Makai issues or Malka issues, because for some odd reason the ranchers are only concerned with their bottom line. And at all costs, they have to raise as much cattle as they can raise, at least as much land as they can raise, and take as much water as they can take. My father was a politician in Honolulu, and House representative in the 60s in the state senate. And I'm not proud to say about my upbringing because as a child, I remember I was 1 year old the day John F. Kennedy got shot. And for the next probably, 8, 9, 10 years as I grew up, I always remember seeing that little John climbing underneath the desk and all these things about politicians. But when my father used to talk in front of crowds, and I've been to Ronald Reagan's ranch many times in California when I was a kid. I've been around presidents and all these people. I never felt comfortable with these people that we were with. Because my heart was telling me that the political relationship was, what do I get by knowing you and vice versa? But my grandparents taught a different way, like most of us have, where in giving you also receive. Well, next week we're going to have a meeting about a conservation district use application for the plantation spring up above Macanao. I've been blessed to have the opportunity to purchase and reside in the town of Villa, following many Hawaiian people before me. Coming from Honolulu, although we have had places here on this island since 1964. Since I was 2, in agriculture on small scale things, in Ahua and cattle and stuff. So what I wanted to share is that through my knowledge that I gained in politics, look at all the people in our history: Danny Noyes, Dan Akaka, Ariyoshi, Governor Burns. There's a lot of other guys that goes on and on. State senators, councilmen, mayors. And again, the list goes on. But the motive is the same thing. It's not the party system, but understand the Democratic Party. Those people I mentioned, Danny Noy, they praise him, they're going to change the name. And people kind of like, they figure, they don't want to speak out to politicians and be critical. It's not about a hate thing for that person. It's more of, I am your employer. These people are our employees. They all work for us. Our tax dollars pays this. But getting involved in politics is so crucial. Barack Obama, all these people, Mazie Hirono, Colleen Hamagusa, Brian Schatz, the major conservancy on a political level is like the United Nations or the International Monetary Fund. They're all over Nevada causing problems with water, shutting people down all over the place. My friend leases a ranch in Newman, California, 54,000 acres. They buy ranches all over the country with Native American artifacts that I was unbelievable how much stuff they had on these places. But they're inept. They're not qualified to do the job my brother described earlier. My expertise is livestock production of every kind. I have pigs in my garage that walk around, sleep under the car, and they go on top. Something like I said, I learned from Happy Hong who couldn't really speak. Guinea grass is high, with slipper shorts and no shirt, walk through the mountains to show me where to go with the place is. And from that time on, when I first came and worked on this project, I was only 24 years old. So I've been in Hialeah since 1994, and with this water application, like he had mentioned earlier, we have to get involved in the side of tenancy on our state lands. Alfred Kalimba has more state land or revocable permits than anybody in the whole state of Hawaii. Now, how does that happen? You got Kahua Ranch, Ponohoa Ranch. Alfred Kalimba is an extension of those two ranches. Ponohoa Ranch is ranked number 6 in the country as the largest cow-calf operation in America. On just this island, by monopolizing the land, monopolizing the water, and they named him Pono. I'm troubled by that. The Cattlemen's Association and the mindset of the American Cattlemen Association is at all costs. We gotta raise as many cattle as we can. We gotta take as much land as we can. And this is the kind of stuff that's starting to occur. We got Hawaiian people down in South Point in the desert. We got thousands of acres of state land up here. They take all the water. While Andrade, Alfred Kalimba. 2 guys. They could be sitting here today. Doesn't bother me. It's nothing personal. It's what's fair. Kau is going to be pressed. I come from the city. I've been exposed to a lot of different other things. But when I came here years ago, my family told me, what do you want to do way out there? Because I want to go back full circle. I'm going back in time to where everything started. Oh, well, Kau, nobody likes nothing on this. I told him, do you know why? No. Then I said, you shouldn't be able to say that. But we have to get involved in understanding that state leases. If you guys have followed maybe about a month ago, Department of Hawaiian Homelands, with their revocable lease structure, Sakagawa in Maui, #1 drop of Hawaii, has the largest revocable leases of Hawaiian Homelands in Maui for 17 years. These are 30-day leases. I've been trying to get water from this mountain where I live. The town of Pele in 1870 had more people than Pahala and Maui today. You could come to where they had a school, they had a church, they had a post office, they had a store, there was a railroad, everything. I couldn't get an opportunity to get water. Monty Richards, who's the owner of Cocoa sat on the water commission. Russell Cocoban turned tail and he ran. He was in here one time. Same thing like I'm sharing with you. I laid it all on the table. Oh, gee, Kyle, you should have told me. What do you mean, brother? You know what your job is. They know what their job is, but the water issue is everything. So they keep us out by leasing it to one guy, 15,000 acres, Lonnie Cran, 40,000 acres, all the Makai lands, the Hawaiian Ranch had, the James Ranch, South Crown lands, #1 drop of water. Edos didn't get all the water from there, Kiaiva Reservoir. So, in next week's meeting, we need people to clearly understand that our presence, or to push for revocable leases to go long-term or to work with DHHL, and Brother Paul does a lot here in the community, they need to step up and understand where is the true resources for success for the native born people that have. I'm pure Portuguese. I wish I was all. I have Hawaiian cousins. You know, half Hawaiian cousins. They married, you know, into our family. So I learned that part of it, Hawaiian history from my family on that side. But I think it's imperative to understand our history in Hawaii, the politicians that they praise, they're not, these are no praisers. They're terrorists. They got us to where we have today. People like my own father, who I love very much, it's heartbreaking to clearly understand that as a 49-year-old man, all of the hardships that I face today was created by his era. You know? So, we really need to look at the issue of the forest and about water and really get out the mind as to why our 20 years have been asking for the land code to go to auction. So everybody can have a chance to go get your idea, whatever it may be, and be able to have a chance to go lease some land. That has never happened. I have some state land, but they gave me all the rocks. No water. There's state land now, which is crown lands and ceded lands. I got Christian thing, one side, 110. I got private land, which is former brewer land, on the west side, and I'm in the middle. These two guys get water, I don't know water. I have got a whole lot. 20 years I've been hauling water. 2010, I flew out 300 helicopters on the 747 from Florida to Los Angeles because I didn't have water. Well, I have all those gallons reports from the Galimbos on Mountain House, who had 2.5, 3 million gallons of water a day. What these guys doing is they're trying to push out the guys like myself for the smaller guys, with 50 head, 100 head, you know, the guys that the weed kind of people, small ranchers. I never wanted to be the biggest and the best. I just want to raise food. That's what we do, me and Mom. We live off electricity. I live on the Gila River. I see catastrophes, I fought fires, all this kind of stuff. So what happens is they pay low lease rent. They get all the water, and they pay $13 per million gallons of water. We got trucks pulling water out of this town every single day. Okay? So I don't want to take up a lot of time and stuff, but I think if you guys are out here next week, we're going to have a meeting about the conservation district use application. And I'm totally against it, and I myself may be in the process of filing a lawsuit because it's not going to happen. I am the town leader. I've been blessed to have learned from the Hawaiian people who dwell there, and I have the responsibility to nurture the ground. I don't own it. Ed Olson owns it. And through my involvement, he may have taken me out. But because of the principle of what I know in my heart is fair and true, no problem. You can kick me out. But these guys, with this water co-ops that we've been trying to form, the pipe down, they're trying to say that the tunnels that are on private lands don't apply. I met with Bill Cannon on May 6th, and I told him straight up, because I talked to my dad, I told him straight. He worked for Linda Lingo in the Attorney General's office. And I told him, I said, Bill, I want to sue you. Ed Olson Trust has been fixing tunnels up there, which is under federal mining laws, without a CDU. But we gotta get one. Linda got it wrong, but did anybody call and say, Palikapo wants land up there? Did anybody call him and say, we're trying to put together something? Everybody in the hall, Gilea Nui, Gilea Yiki, Searle family, myself, the Kalunas, the Pikis, there's families that all live up there way before I came, and they're still living today. All of those roads are all passable roads and everything. So I told I think the wheel approach. It takes teamwork to make the dream work. And that's just the way I look at it. But water and understanding the big pieces is really important. And to push for public option, so number one, people have fair opportunity, and we know who to see when we have something that we like to resolve. That's what I said earlier. That's just fun. We're looking for, an answer, a resolution, and resolving this problem. But, keep in mind that the environmental groups who fund Barack Obama, And Hawaii's Democratic Party and California's Democratic Party, California always the same when it comes to that. And it's not a party issue. It's an issue of understanding that the Nature Conservancy has caused this CDD wave because all of these systems are hundreds of years old. So when we come in present day and we're going to do a renovation of the old system, you don't have to have a CDD. So what's different between us in Hilea and them in Mongula, which they just fixed on pipeline, an old system, without a CDD, but also trust without a CDD. So they're picking and choosing how they do this. And I think with this renovation that the best one has a lot of weight in it, on all of those merits. So please, start to listen and watch how this was. Because from the time I was a kid, and never forget to this day, the environmental groups in America are taking over everything. And there was one thing I ran into 2 weeks ago when I went to take my Patagonia cruise in California. We went up to Oregon. In the Klamath Basin, the Native Americans in the Klamath Basin, thank goodness, that they had some trees and other things. They shut all the water off on all the ranches. 150,000 hectares. It's too bad. I'm sitting with brothers like this, double cowboys, stock contractors, hey. I told them, you know what? You cannot own the water. There is no water. But see, and I'll say this real quick. When SeaWorld sold these lands out here, Nature Conservancy in Hilea, Alfred Glenbo, and Ed Olson, I have copies, and they couldn't figure out how I got it. But I had somebody inside the SeaWorld. I always do. Someplace I'll have somebody inside. So they sold these water rights to these guys, SeaWorld did. Well, water rights, there is no water rights in Hawaii. Sell the trust to the people, by the people of Hawaii. It's in our Constitution. And it's part of the thing that the defense fund is in this lawsuit. So, who are they to pick and choose how they're going to go about, doing this permitting process? Ocean View people, everybody that side, all water can actually go west from Wood Valley. Each system will go over and feed. Out here, Hawaiian Ranch had, this is called probably this family he's been on this so long. 22,000 unit cattle. Mold had 5,000 unit feedlot. We can't even put together. It's been 7 years we're working on these water projects.
I have a question. I mean, where is the water coming from? Where is it coming from?
Oh, I come from the United States. You go to Honolulu, water is cold, there's freshwater bed, rises to the top, saltwater surface in the bottom, so you feel that kind of warm and cold water combination. But in a drought, we were in this very building, and John Rowe said 500 GPM. In a drought, when we had 8 inches of rain. 5 times 6 is what? 3, right? 30. So that's 30,000 gallons an hour. 100,000 gallons an hour. It actually gives about 2,400 in normal times. While I didn't, actually, I should have shut my business down and left. If it wasn't for my wife, who's a heavy person, loving what we do, I'd be in Brazil today. I can do this anywhere in the world. I don't have to stay here. But I'm going to tell you something right now. If you don't get a hold of this, there's going to be a lot of people in my age and younger who watch it emulate. If you've seen what we're doing, like our children, like we did with our parents. Only now, the movie is not looking good. Right? I'm not going to watch this movie again. And so you have these guys monopolize the water, get state lands on a month-to-month lease for $6 an acre when I pay 15 or 20. Then you go to my landlord at the end of my lease and tell me, I'll pay you $25 per year. Over there, it's paying $6. So eventually, I say by 2015, you're pushing on. It's just that simple. And I'm not saying, stand by me for what I know. This is about having anybody in farming and ranching, producing food, and preserving food. That's what my knowledge
You would say that the conservatory, the land organizations have fought, overseeing certainly where the water originates, and so that they can say, it's not coming in where our past land.
They said, we developed our own ecological system. When you put a water trough, and you put aquaculture plants, hydroponics, and you have the water getting on animals, you're creating an ecosystem. So by creating an ecosystem, they decimate small business. They're doing this all over the world. Nature Conservancy, like the country, their wealth is that great.
But they're not thinking about other people where the water.
Of course not. They're only for politics. Water-based progress. Right now, I've been on here 25 years. It's still the way it is today as it was in 1985. In one way, that's great. But in the suppression of the people, that's not. Because if you gotta come up here with whole water for your house every time, that's all it's in. They like to keep us weak. They want to keep us suppressed. So when the water truck comes and says the kids, you're getting excited about the ice cream man, but it's not an ice cream man, it's a water truck. So how can you get excited about water, but you're not? Your point was really good, and I'll just kind of summarize this about the county. They only serve 48,000 residents out of the 185,000. So only 48,000. I met with the water department about the water department. We have tanks and stuff up there, all rotten, rusted. We spill. I have pictures and stuff, but at a later time we'll probably put together with that. Of mountain house spills and 2.5 to 3.5 million gallons a day. So the village are taking water from mountain house already, which is the largest source, giving all of these sites. Right here, all these toilets are coming from mountain house. He controls all the water. While we're sitting here, he's playing games up there with water and garden, shutting off valves, shoving pantyhose with marbles in the line. Like these guys, one thing about is Portuguese. I'll walk miles. I raise wash ponies. I can go to a Christmas fair in places they couldn't find it. I mean, I go in places that, they can't even imagine. So, anyway, thank you so much.
I thank all of you for sharing. Thank you, Sarah. Is there anyone else that would like to share before I close? We have at least 5 minutes before I close, and thank all of you for coming. So the last speaker I will have is Patrick. And what I'd like to explain to you is that it's important for you to keep in contact with me. We're not here to preach. We're not here to force you to think like we do. We're here to give you information so that you can put everything on the table. Do your homework. I attended a meeting. You have to know that Pele Defense Fund also does issues with geothermal. That is Holly Gupton's baby. He's been trying to stop. He doesn't even live in Puna, but he made it his issue because of the fact that they, to him, are desecrating our tributaries. And that is the main issue as to why Pele Defense Fund even started, and that was the desecration of a religion that is not being respected. So what I want all of you to understand is that these are our views. You might not be in that traditional practice, but it's still the First Amendment to respect another's religion in this system, in this country. And that's what we're asking people to do. It is not whether you believe it or not, he believes it or not, it is a person's religion that you already supposed to be mandated to respect. And that is the issue with Pele Defense Fund. So the issue with geothermal, the issue with TMT mountain, the desecration of a mountain that to us is as sacred as to Pele is another religious issue which is not being considered. Now, another issue is the forest. The desecration of our forests, like Uncle Everett talks about, the desecration of our ocean, and the disrespect that they have by taking our foods and bringing 600 seals in Manukau. I'm not sure you know this, but they're bringing 600 seals to Manukau. They're going to shut down their beach. that you as Hawaiians have a right to be. Now they're going to tell you, oh, wait a minute, okay, we have seals over here. Do you know what the seals are going to do to your land? They are going to eat. Now we have restrictions. We have restrictions to the food source that we have here. The seal will not have a restriction. They will eat more of your resources than we can ever have a chance to do. So think about it. One seal takes how much tonnage of the lobsters and fish that you normally go to fish. You can't even go and have access to that beach, but the seals are. Now they're going to be, why don't they take it to Waikiki? Block off your Waikiki beach, put the 600 seals over there. Why not? Because it's a money-making beach. This is your beach. And that seal is not going to stay there. It's going to bring more predators to you. So all of these things have to be in consideration. And that is all conservation efforts. Without the voice of the people that have been here for hundreds of years, we have not had a voice. We're asking for a voice. I went to Bill Idle's meeting with the governor's cabinet. He stood there shutting everybody down. Hunter said, but your blowing are inhumane. Blowing them into smithereens so that you don't have to allow the parties out. And you know what he says? I'm federally mandated to do that. I'm federally mandated to do that. In other words, it doesn't matter what you're pitching to me. The government is telling me that I have to. Well, we are telling you you're federally mandated to respect my religion and respect our resources. And that's what we're saying. Now, what I asked him to was, you have to understand the process. And I was told by Kupuna, you change the process, Terry. So you learn the process and you find out that our own people are in positions that are making decisions and selling us out. You know how hurtful that is when I found out that some of my leaders that I spent all my years respecting were those that are selling us out. How sad I was to know when I had to go to my own community. My own community, when I had a letter to say, Terry, you are invited to come to our meeting because at DHHL, I'm a recipient. I'm a beneficiary, I have 50% Hawaiian or more. To come and we're going to fence out 1,000 acres. We're going to put the rest of the sheep that Tony was trying to replace somewhere else in Hawaiian homes. And I'm going to give you a free ticket to go over there and shoot them. You can have free classes, you can have free this, you can have free that, just as long as you go and manage the sheep that we have left. Throw power to the Hawaiians. And then we have the Hawaiians at 50% sitting in there going, all right, it's ours, it's ours. How many 50% Hawaiians are there? There are more Hawaiians outside with less than 50% outside of that 1,000 acres. You know who's going to be the one to go and do the dirty work for the conservationists? Our Hawaiian people. They're making our Hawaiian people fight against themselves. These are the tactics that they have been using for hundreds of years. Make the Hawaiians fight against themselves. Now they put two people. NARS lady, a NARS person, was put into the NARS. They have not had a traditional customary expert on the commission for years. Well, they did this legislation, put someone over there. Why? To cover Okole. Because it's a lawsuit. You have making decisions for my religion, my people, and you don't have anyone discussing that. Now they have somebody in the Board of Land and Natural Resources that has been making decisions for Hawaiian people all this time. Now, if you had a traditional customary practitioner there making decisions for my religion, they wouldn't allow the eradication of a pig because it is our food source. Right. Okay, so what do? We question that. So I questioned Bill Idle. Who are they? And are they an expert? He goes, oh, we don't hire experts. Well, you should, because that person is making a decision for my tradition and my religion. Well, you are making a decision that's important to me. So I need to speak to those two people. He came up, he couldn't say a word because it is law that you respect my religion. And so, came up, he did the hard, Terry, call me up. I'll set up a meeting with these people. You have to question their process. You have to not allow them to keep continuing to do what they do. If you do not stand up and you stand up for the leaders, now this is the sickening part of it. The same leaders and the same Hawaiians that they know the Hawaiian card is the one that's going to stop you. Stop our conservation. Now, the same leaders and Hawaiians that they put on the panel to go and pass the permits for geothermal is the same leaders they have up on the capacity for TNT. Guess what? At the DHHL meeting, they were all there making the fencing issue their issue now. Why? Because it's money, power, big corporate companies like, what is that? Nature Conservancy is supposed to be a non-profit organization. Excuse me? It's a do-gooder cloaked by conservation ideals of being the best person that you're going to take care of your forest. But they're connected to government, they're connected to big corporations, and they're going to take your land. That's what they're there for, land acquisition. And they're going to take it out of your face. And if our children are not taught how to stand up, you are going to lose every acreage there is on this land for subsistence gathering. You need to stand up. I am serious. We have lost how much land? Please tell me. I think it was 3 million acres of our ceded land that was kingdom, went to their government, and they're taking some more. When are we going to allow them to stop this? If you do, our people, genocide. We are no longer. We are going to be no longer if you don't stand up. And that's why I'm here. Because I cannot allow that to happen to our ancestors that gave us the breath to breathe, for us to stand here. I stand only not alone. I stand with thousands of people behind me. And I have that Puyana responsibility to be here to do something about it. My behavior is in respect of my ancestors. And that's why I'm here. If we allow this, we are no longer, no food, no Hawaiians. We need to stand up. Please, people. So, I'm going to ask someone to pull it. Uncle Hanule.
In closing, this has been a really good meeting.
Wait. I'm sorry. Let me not hurt Pat.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sorry. I'm just blown away. I'm sorry. Take your time.
Hello, everybody. Hey, you guys know I'm Pastor Shekler. Tony, thank you very much for the presentation. It was educational and wonderful. Thank you very much. I know you have a lot more and all that. I'm here tonight because Terry asked me to come. I've come to a lot of meetings with hunting and all that. Look around. What do we have? The same people and all, right? How many people in Kau? I'm going to use Kau because I'm in Kau. And I tell it like it is. I'm not afraid. How many hunters do we have in Kau? Do you see them here? No. Do they care about hunting? No. But yet we here fighting to preserve our hunting for the next generation. Where are these young hunters? I come out here. I see them with dogs in the back of the cages and all that. The younger generation, we call that. These are the people we have to hit. These are the people we got to get here. Without them, we're nothing. We can fight all day, all night against the state, the county, and the federal. But who's going to do behind what's happening behind? These hunters, so-called hunters, are destroying us. Are killing the fight that we had. I come here the last time and I was the same people. Where is the young people? Can we get them here? No, they don't want to come, no time. Let me tell you guys something. I've been hunting since 1950. I've seen a lot, I heard a lot. I've hunted the whole island. I come mostly from Kulani and Saddle Road. Frankly, you're very true. And there was somebody that said about roads. Men has destroyed the forest. They bring the bulldozers in. They don't wash the tracks. They make roads in Steinbeck, Kulani Road. Now they call it Steinbeck. They hired Makano Service from Mountain View, Kulani Road, to build L Road, A Road, C Road, and all that roads. What happened? They brought in invasive plants. They brought in seeds on their tractors that planted in the forest today. I hunted all my life. I never seen seed plants like that. Opala, rubbish. But they do the dirty work. They do the junky things, but they bring the peace. Well, this is not about pigs, plants, and animals, people. This is about rent money. These people are very good to write grants. The United States Department of Interior and Agriculture, they give them the money because their grant papers are perfect. They wear tags and
and they respect it. I met a scientist one day in McDonald's. I love to go to McDonald's and visit, right? So I met this scientist on highway. And I didn't know he was a scientist until we were talking about pigs in here. He said, "Oh, you're a hunter." I said, "What are you, a scientist?" He said, "Yes." Then I asked him, "Mr. Scientist, who planted the hawthorne in the forest?" "Oh, well, it was way back when the Hawaiians did that. You better go learn. You better go learn." "Yes, the hawthorne was brought here. But people, who planted the hawthorne? Did anybody go up the mountain to go put one?" "Oh, well, no one planted the hawthorne. A wild foot rock against the hawthorne, one way or another, just come on." Okay. When there's an eruption, lava, what two things draw the lava? First two things, the hapu and the ohia. They don't make the hapu endangered species land. They don't make the ohia. Why? Because in Kulani now, I'm telling you guys flat, in Kulani right now, there's not much things. Joe and whoever hunted me, I hunted all my life. What are they doing now? There are people going up there, taking hapu, selling them to the people that come from the mainland, build their place, nice job with the hapus. Somebody mentioned about saddle rope, right? About the ohia. They're not going to make the ohia endangered species because they got to make roads and clear. They don't want, but that's the two things that grow on the lava. So what are they doing? See, the Western world, if we look back, propaganda. Other countries have called America propaganda country. And it still is. But right now they're doing the propaganda to us from this island. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. That's BS. They're going to destroy. They're going after us until they get off. You know, as a hunter, all you guys are hunters, and myself. When growing up and being hunted, you had a vision. And the vision is, one day, we no longer can hunt. Over. You cannot beat the mountain, you cannot beat the forest, you will always beat it. But what about our next generation? And the next generation? Will they have an opportunity to do what we did? Frank mentioned something about going to the mountain with the birds. This mountain, there's thousands of birds. If you go in a mountain, sunny day, you listen to all the birds that are singing. They're speaking to one another in every dialect of every other bird. But yet they understand. So they're attracted and killing other birds, you're not meant to be. I asked the scientist one day, I told the biologist from the DNR, I said, "You might drive up to London in every forest, we have a security." He said, "No, we don't pay money for security." I said, "Yes, we don't pay money because we have security." I said, "That night the owl flies, catches the rodents and the rats, that takes the eggs from birds. During the day the hawk flies, that's all security. And yet they're not even taking care of it. Who destroys the forest and all that is the man. We have no forest people, by the way. We have giants. You take a ride up Saddle Road. I never did see this in my life with a uloi hanging in the trees. And yet these people tell you, we love the trees, we love the plants. You pass up Saddle Road and you stop here through hunting, you're going to hear a cow. And these uloi is hanging in these trees. You think they care? Well, of course not. Because this is all propaganda. Again, I say, it's about money, power, and control. We're going to be fencing the Hawaiian Islands one day. We're going to stand up and fight. We're surrounded by water, we're surrounded by no access, but there's a fence. The only place we can go is the roads that we use. And maybe one day they will charge us to use that road. That's how bad it's called. And if the people of Hawaii don't believe and wake up and smell the coffee in others, we're done. So what we need here is not only the same faces that I see. What we need here is this young generation. This young generation that started 70, 80, 90 and now. Because they don't understand. All they do is going hunting, catching, hiking, bragging rights. Forget about the bragging rights, go out to the game and no bragging rights anymore. Stay with the people. Work together. I go all around Terry, knowing all these guys going. We go around the island. Meeting the hunters, right, Tony? And we keep telling them, education, education.
Yeah.
You know, I respect Tony and the committee that he has, the hunting commission. But they are tied by the so-called sunshine law. Okay? I met Mr. Kinoi the other day, 2 weeks ago in the ballpark. I said, how come the commission don't come down and tell us what's happening? Oh, can't talk. I don't know what's going on. I got to talk to Nathan about this. You know, Mr. Uncle, don't call me Uncle. So, you know how he acts. But anyway, because of the
gotta get to these young guys, people. Trust me, otherwise, we're gonna go. I've done my hunting. But why I said I'm gonna fight because I like to see the next generation. My grandson, your grandson, with these projects,
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm going to take too much time, but
No, no, that's all right.
Take your time.
Take your time. He will shut the door.
nevertheless, this district, you know, I live off the land, I fish, I hunt, I go out there and get everything. And I see now that everything BDP, and we talk about Bill Island. So when I see things BDP, I walk into the mountains, I try to plant my cattle, you know, the land and border resolutions, they send me around, you get a shopping mall. I shop in all, I go before the board, I tell them what I'm doing, I show them pictures of what I'm doing. They still deny me the access to practice my traditional, cultural, and religious rights. They tell me that, and when now before putting on this firm about what we can do, what is all right, it's not illegal advice, but what I told them is exactly what will happen. You know, they just let the cattle run in, take the water, forget about the water. You know, you talk about what's going on now, I went before the board. Because I believe what I'm doing is right. It's not for me, it's for my people and the next generation. I was on a co-op with Uncle Eagle. When he started to plant in the Lord, I took to all around them. I believe that we gotta be self-sustainable. If all of these shit is cut off, and no food is brought here, how will we survive? And we all hunting BDP, we gotta start being my eyes. We gotta be farmers. Maybe that might bring better health in our native Hawaiians. You know? But I can do this so much. I'm not key coming out there, but I come out there. I'm the lonely one. You know? I'm out there trying to do what needs to be done as far as polycouple and polycouple. We go back with that. You know, I started wondering, but it's asking like, how can I get in touch with polycouple? And then, only yesterday, after I started coaching football, I see the sign up there. Wow, Pele is playing spot. All right, yeah. They're showing up, you know. I'm not a guy who comes and sees you guys like, oh, God, you do this, and allow my land is like in and out of the land. But this land is what will be and nourish you, you know. So I just thank you guys for giving me this short time and sharing my story.
Anybody else?
Before we close up. So this has been a really good meeting. I'm really glad to see the faces I see. There's great diversity. I agree with Uncle. We need our young people here. We're driving around with fences in the back of your truck and somebody to even get out. That's the way I am. Anyway, I'm also with the Temple of Love. I'm one of the fortunate guys that I have the opportunity to play by a program. And so I want to close this meeting with a prayer. It's a foundation of God. It's really, really, really good. And that's what I want to share with you. I'm going to say it in Hawaiian first, but I'll translate it to you. And it's, I'm not a native speaker, so I have some trouble along there. I just try. But the story is beautiful. And it starts off, it says, hey tu, ate te taitu. Or ocean god. You give us light and we take it. E tanoa, lao vinito. O sun god. Eat the waters of the ocean, and they rise in the mountain. Rise in the desert. Hey, to me eyes before you. You though, you turn to a step light for all the things on earth. How it accomplishes that it comes upon cunning. Itani. Sai da presa tu lì, e lui to go tu, type 2. For God can freely release the waters of the heavens, the land and the mountains, and as deep as that wind God finds his way back to the mother. He feeds all the seeds that are put in the ground, the same thing like that. That's the story of our creation.
good job in making those statewide. And otherwise, I'm going to see if I can go away and pick up the shirt. So I'm just there, so believe me, I still working hard. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, everybody. So if you, please, if you want to keep in contact with me, I'm going to have, I have a business, Papa Moon, Native Hawaiian LLC, and it is a Native Hawaiian business that is creating a space for other Hawaiians to bring their products, whether it's food products, bottles, and what I'm doing is I've certified kitchen, I certified our smokehouse, imu, and we're giving the experience of arts, crafts, just a space where Hawaiians can be productive. And we're having a nonprofit put together for Papa Moon so that we can educate our children about our rights and our resources and how we can manage our own forest, teach our kids. That is our focus. Hopefully we can have a younger group of Native Hawaiians in different districts that can come together so that we can discuss issues like this and put it all on the table. And that is something that I'd like to do in the future. But I'm going to have a meeting for our hunters once a month at Papa Moon. And then maybe quarterly here in public. And I'll keep you on in touch. So please put this here because it's going to be an ongoing process. You know, litigation is not going to be like this overnight. And it's going to take money. We have a lawyer right now. His name is Jim Dombrowski, and he's been working with me for the last few months. He has been Kalikapu's longtime friend, fighting geothermal for almost 35 years. And he's fought the issues for Native Hawaiians, so he's very well versed with Native Americans as well. So we have him help pro bono, but any kind of help we can give him, I will give him because he lives in San Francisco. He's flying over here in August for another case. He wanted to meet with all of the hunters, but I told him to come when he had more time, 3 days at least, to meet with our hunters, whether it be here in Kauai, wherever. But wherever we can be. Now he's our lawyer to help us strategize how we're going to do this. It is more involved. It's a more involved process. It's not just fencing. It's not just eradication. It is water. It is big corporations. It is money involved. Military. It's all connected. But the card to beat this is our rights as a hunters, fishermen, and they know that. And so we have to stand firm with this and respect that person that does the traditional customs and practices. Because you take care of us, it benefits everybody else. Pele did that. He used his rights as a Native Hawaiian for powwow. We had surfers, we had everybody using that place, and then they cut access. But he fought with his rights as a native gatherer, a hunter, and a fisherman. And he won access for that place. Today, who does it benefit? Benefit everybody else. So you malama the host culture. And I'm serious to take care of you. And we're not here to divide you into different races. We have to work together. But respect the idea that in an environmental assessment, an environmental impact statement, they have to they deal with only one culture. What culture is that? It's the host culture. They have to see how it impacts our Hawaiian people. Do you know that? There's no other culture that they go and have to go and see and address. It's our Hawaiian culture. So we have the right to question what you're doing. And remember, so I love you guys. Please love you.